Hey guys, I'm thrilled to be with Shannon Russell, who's a personal growth guide. How you doing, Shannon?
I'm awesome. Thank you, Matt. I'm really excited for our conversation today.
Yeah, no problem. Can you give us a little high-level overview of what you do?
Yeah, so I just learn what I need to for myself in my own life, and then I share it with other people. And so when I say, personal growth guide, that's the best way to describe what I do. But I work with people with physical, mental, emotional, spiritual challenges and quandaries. And I basically help them remove the limitations and remove outdated programming of their subconscious mind. It's like whatever this issue is, we're going to figure it out and resolve it so that you automatically are different, so that things are become automatic, rather than a 21-step 21-day program to change.
Every client that you have is very like customized and personalized in terms of what kind of guidance you give them.
I see everyone for everything.
Yeah.
So, which makes it hard to market yourself, right, Matt? Like you know that it's really hard to market yourself when you're like, I just help everyone with everything.
Right. But I think that's a good, in part, it's good to have that energy, but then mixed with like the realistic energy of, okay, it's like mixing the personalization with the generalization. And like
Yeah.
that balance, that's the sweet spot, is figuring out how to both um, generalize so we can operationalize things and make a business, and then but also keep it very personal and very heart centered. And I know that's really important to you, like having the heart-centered business.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's like just these kind of yin and yang elements that it's always a struggle to, and also your short-term goals with your long-term goals. That's also a very yin and yang thing. Like you want to create content in depth, but you also don't have time for content because you have to like, I don't know, like go after some coaching clients or whatever it is.
That's right.
How are you finding clients, or how are you going about finding clients who are at this crisis point?
Well, that, my dear, has been my biggest challenge.
Okay.
It has been, from a business standpoint, that exact point has been my biggest challenge. And it's really interesting because I know what I can do, and I know how effective and like revolutionary and like path paving what I do is. But I've struggled to find clients who are ready for me.
I totally hear you, and I'm glad you're being so candid about it, because I think what happens to a lot of life coaches is exactly what you're saying. Like, you can help clients so much, you can transform their lives, but the marketing, it's like, why can't we just focus on that and focus on helping the clients? And then instead of having to do all this marketing and sales stuff, which is hard, but I think it becomes enjoyable the better you are at it. Then it becomes like, okay, marketing and sales is no longer like salesy, or like it doesn't feel like a draining thing. It feels like it's actually part of the coaching itself, and like
And it's a natural.
mm-hmm.
And that was the big light bulb that I had to have, because like I have taken a ton of marketing training and sales training, like even though it's not my natural skill set, I was like, well, if I want to do this as a business, I have to be able to like grow my business mind, right? And
Right.
be more businessy. And so I took all of this training, and the big thing that I noticed in all of the training I took is that my natural words that came through me, and my natural message didn't resonate with people. But I have trouble being fake.
Mm-hmm.
And I have trouble pretending, and I have trouble like having your elevator speech and your elevator pitch, and like having things like preset and predetermined and practiced. Like
I don't
I
like
just,
it either. I don't honestly. I don't think you need to sell that way. I think there's a strength in
but a
selling.
lot of people teach that.
It's true. It's true. But there's also another school of thought that's the exact opposite of that, which is like the relationship school of thought, which is it's all about authentic connections and relationship, and then having the right systems in place to like translate that to a sale. But
That's right.
that way it feels more genuine, and there is still a sales process that you need to uncover, but it's not like manipulative. It doesn't feel like you're just reciting lines and like saying stuff that increases urgency and like pressures people into like making a deal right now. The sales process must reflect the actual offer. It's like they have to go hand in hand. And so really everyone's sales process, what we learn online and from training courses is that there's one sales process that works for everyone, but it's more like a matter of you have to slowly work at it and make it customized to you, and then keep on tweaking it so that it fits your business and your like personality. So and that's really hard to get to the point where it's really streamlined and operationalized, and you can just simply like answer your phone and like make a sale. It takes a while to get to that point. It's like a matter of you have to reflect to like figure out what the right actions to take and kind of how to present yourself in a different manner, and then go try it. If it's not working, then go back to the drawing board and think of something else until it works, because there's no other option. We're gonna like focus on this until it works and like try and keep trying and trying. Eventually, every lesson, every failure is a lesson for okay, this doesn't work. We won't try this. It's all a lesson for strengthening us, and then figuring out finally what does work when we finally get it. And you shared a story with me where you this is a really powerful like story, but you felt like you were changing your niche every 3 months, 2 to 6 months, and I think that resonates so many people. Like your message just it lasts 2 to 6 months, and then it changes, and you have to keep switching your niche around, rebranding. I think so many life coaches fall under that trap. And can you share a little bit about that?
Oh, definitely. So again, with the type of work that we do, our work and our message and our brand is a reflection of who we are, but also who we are becoming. Mm-hmm. And, I would not want to go to a life coach who is not a student of life and who is not continuing to learn and grow and evolve themselves, because I learned very early on that you can only help a client as much as you've helped yourself. You can only take a client as far as you've taken yourself. Sure. And so I did. Like, I started with a message based on who I was and where I was at that time 5 years ago. But I'm a student of life, and I continue to work on myself all the time. And so, I outgrew that message, and I outgrew what I was doing and how I was doing it. So then it's like, well, time to make new business cards and time to get a new domain name, and because that just doesn't feel right anymore. There was a gap, right? There was a gap. Yeah. And it's not like Apple, although even Apple tweaked their name and has tweaked their image and has, right? Like Apple today is not Apple of 20 years ago. Right. And as you grow and as you evolve, you have to be okay that your look, your branding, your message, what you even can do or how you do it, that's going to change too. And it doesn't mean you're failing. No. It just means, well, this doesn't fit. So
and it should evolve, because hey, if you have the same message that you had 25 years from now, or 25 years ago, like that's not going to resonate at all, because everything has changed. So it has to naturally evolve, and too many people think like it's fixed and finite, and like your niche is forever, but really it's something that you're always constantly tweaking. Hopefully you don't have to like change business cards that often, or like hopefully you don't have to change it too often with that. But even so that you've had to change your domains and business cards, it's fine, because you've learned more about yourself and what resonates with the target customers. And my next question though is actually about the target customers. If you were to describe them like in one sentence, how would you describe who your target customers are?
I would say that they are people who desire more in
Mhm.
their life and who have had enough of how things currently are.
Okay, I think I see something of an issue. I mean, that's certainly
That's okay.
yeah. I
It's a
think
learning process.
okay, because I think that what's kind of consistent with all coaches is that you help them get from point A to point B. So basically, all coaches have that in common.
Yeah.
And I think that so with the target customer that you're describing right now certainly has that in common. They want to get from point A to point B, and really, if you think about it, every person has that in common. They have a current situation, but they want to get somewhere else, and it's not necessarily like there are different degrees of like desires and motivations, but generally everyone has they're somewhere right now, and they want to get somewhere else, and once they get there, um, then they want another goal, maybe in a different area. So what I'm seeing right now is it's a little too much. It's not differentiated from just the coaching industry as a whole. And so, can you share a little bit about your background? Because I think that might what's helped a lot of my clients in the past is actually it's hard to find out what's unique about you, but maybe when someone else hears it, I can tell you what's unique about you, and then
Yeah.
what client you can target based on that.
And I'm in the process of like rebranding and reinventing myself right now as it is anyway, so this is perfect.
Perfect. Okay. So share your story.
So basically I grew up believing that if you worked hard and you were a good person, you would be happy and have the life you wanted. And I worked really hard and I was a really good person, and I had everything that I thought that I wanted, but I was miserable and in constant chronic physical pain, and I hated my life. And so I had to figure out the truth of me, and I had to figure out, you know, why am I so unhappy? Like I just wanted to be happy. I just wanted to be happy. And what I realized was that like I had mental, physical, emotional, and spiritual shit going on that was preventing me from being happy. And so like my whole quest is just to help people be happy again, and to help people feel like live the life that they're meant to live, not what they think they're supposed to be living.
Yeah, I had a similar story, and I can definitely relate to that. I think that, and my mind tends to do this as well, and I think you're similar to me in the way that we think, is that we tend to think in abstracts, which is like we're thinking right now very philosophically and like very like, okay, I was at a place where I was having these internal battles, and like this is what was going on in my mind, and blah blah blah. But in terms of which is great, that'll be really helpful later on. But in terms of how we like target, it's actually going to help us if if we think about this very concretely. So
damn it, I have trouble with that, Matt.
well, I know, I understand, but it's an easy fix, because what I want to know. So you said you were at a place where you were unhappy. What I want to know right now is like, what place was that? So what job are you at? What situation were you in? And those concrete things, like let's say, for example, you were working at JP Morgan Chase, and you had this job that you thought was really good on paper, and you were really successful at it. You weren't happy. It would be easier to target that way. You were in a specific.
Yeah. So I was a wife and mom who had given up everything that I desired for myself for the betterment of everyone else.
Okay, perfect. Okay, that's already a lot. That's already a lot more concrete, because these are, I mean, wife and mom are kind of like roles, position, if you think about it. And it's also the beginning point of a target market that you can actually work with, because you relate to that space. That being said, it's also a matter of like, do you want to help that market? Is that what you want to focus on? and that's, I mean, that would be your call. But thinking deeper about like, okay, so the wife and mom, what, how else would you describe your situation as a wife and mom? Like, what were you doing? Um, how old, like age range?
Yeah. So when I got engaged, so like my life has been this like roller coaster of like doing things for myself and loving it, but then every time I get with the guy, like every every time I've been in a relationship with someone, I give up everything about myself for them.
Yes. Okay.
It's
This
like,
is already some. Okay. This is
you
already,
are awesome, Matt. You are awesome. I've never pieced this together before for myself.
because this is getting 10 times more concrete or 100 times more concrete than what you were talking about before. What you're talking about before is like, okay, everyone relates to the kind of hero's journey of like, you're not happy and then you become happy. Now you're talking about concrete. You're talking about issues of codependency. You're talking about like self-care. You're talking about like, you are in a situation, what you just said, every time that I can see that being the headline of like your site. Every time I got into a relationship, I would give up all myself and lose my sense of boundaries. So really, who you're targeting is people who have boundary issues in relationships. And
Yeah, because guys have that too, and that's what
yes,
I struggled with because I don't want to just work with women. I actually
perfect. You
love
don't have to.
working with guys, and that's why the wife and mom. I'm like, yeah, well, being a wife and mom messed me up, but I want to work with guys as well, right? And so that, and I actually want my message to go to guys. As odd as that sounds, because I'm a girl, but I want to work with men.
Yeah,
So it's,
I don't think you have to segment by wife and mom. I think that what's in common with the stuff that you're talking about is codependency, self-care, boundaries. I think that if you focus on that and then figure out how to reach people who struggle with those things,
to
maybe
like give up themselves.
exactly, whether they're a man or a woman or whatever. But if the goal then, if that's your target customer, is figuring out where they hang out. So maybe they are going to relationship support groups. Maybe they're hanging out in codependency forums online. I have no idea what they're doing, but you figure out.
Where are these people? They're probably next door, for God's sake.
That's true, but what we want to think about is the pond that they're in. I mean, surely the person sitting right there could be experiencing this, but it's hard to. I can't go up to that person and say blah blah blah. It has to be where they're hanging out. Like what fishing hole is a lot of them, where a lot of them hang out, and then it'd be really easy to reach them in bulk. And I mean, you don't want to like talk to them in bulk, but you have a pool of where they hang out, so it'll be easier to reach out to you. But any last words to share?
Just like thank you. And I know that I'm changing. I think you're awesome. So that is a huge sign that something in me has changed from 2 to 6 months ago where I was not attracting people like you to my life. So
Awesome. Okay.
thank you.